Hey, welcome back to the Zeitcast, everybody. So I just finished up an unbelievable conversation with my friend Will James. We were just talking about this actually, how much I wanted with the podcast this time it to be more a revolving door of the people that I love the most and live my life with. And I just thought that conversation was brilliant, man. First of all, thank you for that.
Oh,
so good.
Thank you. I was glad to do it.
I want us to have some fun. And I want us to talk about the NBA. I don't care if this seems rational. I don't care if no one listens. If my mom doesn't listen. I love my mom. I'd love it if she did listen. But if no one, the point is that if no one cares, I need to be able to talk about the NBA. Well, I don't know if people understand just how much estrogen I'm surrounded with right now. Between Nicole, Caitlin, Alexa, Ashlyn, Stella, our dog, Lucy. I mean, outside of Kingston, it's a whole lot. I just need to sit down with a friend and be able to talk about basketball sometimes.
Let's do it.
Now, part of my experiment, though, for this tonight, since we already had a little bit of bourbon, I wanted to save this till we started recording. So, knowing that you've been enjoying some rye, y'all know I say rye, not rye. But since you've been enjoying some rye, this is the Barrell Seagrass. Have you had this?
I have not.
Okay, Barrell makes just all of their stuff is really beautiful and special in some way, and they do these kind of crazy finishes. I am about to do a video sometime the next couple days on my 5 favorite bourbons of 2021. This is going to be on it. Okay. I think this is my favorite rye of last year, and it can sound a little out there because it is a rye whiskey finished in Martinique rum, Madeira, and apricot brandy barrels, which sounds like a lot going on.
Yeah,
but I'm telling you, I think this is pretty special. And so I intentionally waited to pour until we started, so we could kind of get let me get you a little more, a bit of a real time reaction. But this is a bottle I special love. So, just nose that a little bit first. That is a lot going on, my friend.
Clear the sinuses a little bit.
That is a lot going on. Oh, yeah, this is 119 proof.
Okay.
High proof, but oh my God, I don't know anything. I've never tasted anything remotely like this. I wouldn't even know how to prepare for this.
What?
Right? How about that?
Wow.
Some kind of finish, right?
Yeah, I am not picking right for myself. You are doing very well.
Well, I'm so glad.
You were doing very well.
And tell me if you agree about this, because I feel like some of the stuff with Barrell, they have a few releases that are really experimental. But to me, it's recognizably a rye, and it is just it's a really wonderful rye. But just then that finish just kind of, it does feel like it kind of creates something new in a way I just love.
That's good. I've been to a barrel tasting.
Okay.
But we stayed kind of standard.
I see.
It was kind of along the heatness spectrum, but there was no special blends or casks or anything. That is something.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, I'm glad that you dig it. Like I said,
It's also kind of dangerous.
It is dangerous. And I love this whole idea of even the marketing of it, of sort of highlighting the grassy oceanside notes that we love in rye. And I feel like you do get something of that. It's sort of like I first had a bottle of this in the summer. I think we finished in August, and I hadn't had any since until recently. And I wondered if it would be more like a summer drinking whiskey. I'm like, oh no. This is one I would enjoy year-round.
If I don't have to put an ice cube in it.
Right, that's right, yes.
It is solid.
Well, we're not making the podcast all about bourbon. I did want you to enjoy some of this Barrell Seagrass, because Will's one of those people in my life who's always going to have access to the good stuff. I need to talk about the NBA. So I think the first thing I want to ask you about, and just riff about a little bit here, well, because I guess we talked about this in the last week or two. You know that I'm kind of ride or die with Westbrook. Like, I love him. Mm-hmm. I love him. Like, I understand the flaws.
Sure.
I understand the metrics. I understand, he's played with some of the best players ever in the game and hasn't won a title and all the issues, like, whatever. But I'm certainly going to pull for Russ forever. And I'm watching this LA experiment very closely. A lot of drama happening with the Lakers right now. I'm always have a thing anyway for I feel like I'm always pulling for veterans. I think with my whole thing about second chances and, find out what's really in you kind of thing, whatever. What do you think with the Lakers? I mean, AD is back.
Yeah. So I'm a lifelong Laker fan.
I don't think I knew that.
My first memory, actually, my earliest memory is from the, I guess the back-to-back. Did they go back-to-back-to-back? Or just back-to-back in the 80s, early 80s?
I don't think they ever three-peated. I think because that's part of the Bulls, so it seemed like they went, but they went back-to-back more than once.
Back-to-back more than once. The second time they went back-to-back, because my mom has always been a Laker fan.
Yeah.
So in our first house, during that finals, the second of the back-to-back, I had paper wads and a Lakers shirt. And I was doing turnaround jumpers in my little Pampers. I mean, I was a small child. But that's my earliest memory, is watching on this little box TV on the floor, East 15th Street in Ada, and shooting paper wads into the wastebasket next to the TV.
I love this.
While my mom was just rooting.
Who was your favorite Laker? Who was your guy?
I was a James Worthy guy because I liked the goggles.
Yeah, interesting.
Mom was a massive Magic fan. Magic's the best. I love Magic Johnson. I love him. So the Lakers have always been everything. And so to land LeBron, was great.
Yeah.
Because Kobe's my favorite all time.
Mm-hmm.
I know Jordan is Jordan.
Yeah.
I'm a Kobe guy.
Yeah.
Loved him. My son's understanding that men can have emotions is centered around losing Kobe Bryant.
Really? Wow.
Was inconsolable.
That was the people. I get that.
Inconsolable. And he was just he understood life and death from that. And that was not the first time we'd experienced it.
Yeah.
But I was not okay at all. And he was sitting right there the whole time. It was just this is he thought me and Kobe were best friends. He was
man.
lost a really good friend.
Jeez.
I'm no, I did not know Kobe Bryant. I just love Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
But no, he's my all-time favorite. So, but to have LeBron in, Westbrook was the guy I was glad we kept. Kevin Durant is an excellent basketball player. I was not sad to see him go. I love Russ, and then have Melo in.
I love this. I love this. Whatever this is.
I don't know if it's gonna work.
No.
But this old guy rehab Laker thing is my favorite thing that's happening.
See, it's so interesting, and I mean, even if it's not a good experience, I'm so into it. I don't mean to derail us because I feel like I find ways to bring this up probably too much because as you do. But have we talked before about the one time I got to talk with Kobe at the White House? Did we ever talk about this?
No. Now we have to.
We never talked about this?
I don't think so.
Did you see that picture? The photo I have of Kobe?
Of you and Kobe?
Yeah.
No.
Man, all right. Well, okay, so quick sidebar. In what year were that?
The White House?
Man. This is a long story. Somebody who worked in the Obama administration, was very kind, had been listening things, watched things whatever, invited me to a couple really cool events at the White House in the last year of the Obama administration, one of which was the opening of the African American
Museum, yeah.
And they had the reception at the White House. And so I was invited to the White House reception in the East Wing. And I can't stress enough, not in some humble bumble way. It truly was. I've never been more overstimulated, more out of place in a wonderful way, but just so excited. I just felt like the most uncool person ever. Because you're in there and that's where I had my funny encounter with Samuel Jackson. I don't know if you have heard me tell about this.
Time out.
You ever heard me tell any of this?
Time out. I think I maybe have caught some of that, but just time out. Kobe, Sam Jackson, and Obama?
Quincy Jones, Oprah and Stedman. It was like, dude, I'm telling you, like everybody famous in Black America was in that room. And then I'm like, and I'm going around like, hey y'all. Like, I've never felt more ridiculous in my life. But no, really,
that's awesome.
It was crazy. It was just crazy. Yeah, because like the man, I'm riffing too much now. The Sam Jackson thing was embarrassing because I lost my cool trying to introduce myself to Samuel Jackson.
Of course.
Because he's like the coolest man ever.
Yes.
He's not just like in movies. Like in real life, he was there in a chocolate brown suit that was perfect. And I mean, he looked every inch the movie star like you want him to be.
Sure.
And it was just so funny because I'd been rehearsing this whole like what I'm going to say to Samuel Jackson, and being the movie buff that I am, I had this whole like, I'm going to do like deep cut, like show him that I'm really care and like I'm not just an ordinary like whatever. And the way that actually came out was, excuse me, Mr. Jackson. So I was just wondering if I could get a photo with you because I'm a fan. I mean, I know everybody's a fan, but I'm like a mega fan. And in the most like Sam Jackson, like movie Samuel Jackson way, he had this like incredulous raised eyebrow that was like still like being nice. It was like a mega fan. This large giggling white man. It's so funny. But it was the most embarrassing thing. But I was in the room just long enough. The reception went on long enough that I think Kobe Bryant was over there. I was like, okay. Those are the two people. I was like, I have to talk to. I didn't try to meet Oprah or like whatever. I have to talk to Samuel Jackson. I have to talk to Kobe. Kobe, I walked over to, and man, it was kind of opposite. I think I didn't overthink it quite as much. He was so gracious. We had like the sweetest, it was only like 10 minutes, but it was like the sweetest conversation about like life and basketball and family and, and not like somebody from a couple minutes, but it's like he projected the same thing that I really feel like you saw from afar. That whatever people think about Kobe and the sexual assault allegation, I think it was like, he was 19 or 20 or like whatever. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody in public life more embody that kind of Richard Rohr sort of. There was like first half and second half. I just felt like second half Kobe Bryant, he just felt like a different person. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That like still is every bit the star, but just a humility and a gentleman. You know what I mean? Like obviously, always. I mean, Mamba. I mean, you always a competitor, but it just seemed so kind and generous and.
Well, and that's the kind of adjustments you want to see. Like, if you get yourself into a situation like that, you don't want to just ram your head against the wall and say, "Look, just ignore it." Like he had to adjust.
Yes,
he needed to adjust. He needed to adjust. And I don't, not to speak too much on that particular thing because it's a older deal, and who knows what all went into that. But it's that's part of it. That's part of why I appreciate him so much.
Yeah,
was that he took that and allowed himself to alter and change and grow. And this is a thing we all need to do. Like when we find ourselves in situations, whether they are obviously completely our own doing or not. Like how do we respond to that? Mm-hmm. I think he did well.
Yeah, if he definitely that I love it. Even felt like the sense of someone who gave himself permission to kind of become and grow and transcend, like whatever. And I just think, I mean, that's part of what's kind of the unfair thing maybe about people putting on a stage when they're that young. But then hey, then I don't know. I feel like that was one of the things that I loved about watching Kobe over the years. It's like you get to see somebody mature and grow up and clear in a way that seemed very visible. Starting to see the world differently, engage the world differently.
Well, he was shifting so much after he retired.
Yes,
this whole new thing, and got an Academy Award.
Yeah,
immediately.
Yeah,
he was able to turn that determination into the next thing.
Yeah,
and then focus that on the girls, and I don't know.
Well, I didn't mean to derail us with Kobe stuff. I realized we had never talked about that. And I'm like, okay. So to get back though to Lakers, you're talking about Kobe, and then now you get LeBron, and we get all the OG guys on the squad.
Yeah, I'm nervous.
Yeah,
I want them to do amazing. It's not going great right now. They're in striking distance. That's fine. We like that. Significantly worried about Golden State.
Yeah.
They were putting a squad together. They're going to be tough.
I feel like Golden State's going to be real tough. I think they're tougher than their record even looks now. Because I feel like fully healthy, and by the time Clay's just had a minute to be a little more integrated and all that, I feel like they're going to be nasty.
He's an absolute monster.
Yeah, they're going to be nasty by the playoffs.
Nobody's ready for Clay.
No.
Nobody's ready for Clay. He's been sitting around just waiting.
That's right. And the way they move the ball. I don't know when I've seen a team like Golden State either, in terms of that team, in a good way, you got so much age on, like, Steph and Clay and Draymond have played together for so long. But that young core they've got is so good. That level of potential, I feel like, it's clear they've gone beyond their hopes and reckoning, really, with draft picks and stuff. I mean, they're kind of like...
You know who I'm happy for? Wiggins.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
Because he got saddled with that issue.
Yes.
He comes in after LeBron leaves Cleveland.
Right.
They get rid of him when he comes back.
Right.
And it's he'll never amount to anything or whatever. And then here he is. Yeah. And he's finally kind of reaching the all-star level.
People dismissed him for so long, too.
Yeah.
How many times did you hear that? Andrew Wiggins, is a disappointment. And, he was called a bust for so long.
You're like, I don't know, that guy looks pretty good at basketball.
Yeah. I don't know. I love that he made the all-star team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm worried about them because I need LeBron to get one more.
I do too.
I need him to get one more.
I do too.
I know he's never going to supplant Mike.
Right.
If you go in a direct one-to-one comparison. Yes. But if you can catch Kareem.
Right.
If you can get a fifth.
Yeah.
So if you can tie Kobe. Mm-hmm. And pass Kareem, you've got 3 championships, or I'm sorry, 3 different teams you've taken to championships.
Yes.
You've crossed conferences and taken championships.
It's so funny for me because, I for a long time was not a LeBron guy, but I think this is true in sports, it's true in life. As people age, they win me over. Sure. I love lines on a face. And I know specifically with LeBron, I know when I became went from being a mild hater to a fan. It was actually the year one of the years they lost to Golden State, but it was the year they lost to Golden State and Kevin Love and Kyrie had both gone down, and LeBron, and I think Golden State ultimately won 4-2, but LeBron's performance in that series to this day, most Herculean thing I've ever seen by an athlete. I mean, he was a tank. He was unreal. It felt like 5-on-1 out there.
Yeah, no. And he should have won Finals MVP.
That's right. Oh, totally. The damage he inflicted on them, they could not stop him.
He should have won it.
I mean, it was just, and they came so close. Mm-hmm. They came so close to beating them just on sheer will and tenacity from one guy. That's when I was like, okay, I'm a LeBron James fan now because I was so impressed with that. But I'm the same way now, later career. I really want him to get another chip. I like this Lakers experiment. There's so much buzz and chatter, of course, about the Westbrook. The funny thing for me about the Westbrook deal is I feel like everybody issues such ironclad proclamations about it. And look, don't get me wrong. As much as I'm a Westbrook fan, I will admit yes, we do have a pretty good track record at this point in terms of okay, bad performances in the playoffs or, chucking a bad 3 late game when it's on the line, that kind of thing. We've seen plenty of that.
Yeah.
But I also think all the way back since he was in Oklahoma City, we have years now of seeing Westbrook be one of the worst players in the league for a few months, and then from basically February to the end, being insane.
This is my hope. That he's played so poorly.
Yes.
He's had so many turnovers. It's like, we'll let him do it in the regular season.
Yeah.
But if he figures it out,
Totally.
you don't want to play him 7 times.
No.
That's all there is to it.
That's it. He took Russ took the Wizards to the playoffs by himself last year because of the last 3 months or something when Bill's out and it was just him like just going bananas. But that's the thing about going 7 games. I'm like, okay, at the end of the day, if everybody's healthy, LeBron and AD, Russ, even if maybe he did end up coming off the bench, like whatever. I think that's a scary team to anybody in the playoffs. And I can't help but think, especially because of all their experience, that they're still going to find a groove.
Yeah. And don't sleep on the idea that LeBron has spent an actual considerable amount of time this year playing the 5.
Right.
Which is wild.
It is
he
wild.
Can go from the 1 to the 2 to the 3 to the 4 to the 5. But if he gets comfortable in that, because AD doesn't like to do it necessarily.
Yeah.
But you don't need him to do it against everybody.
Yeah.
So if you're playing a small team and can kind of mess that rotation around, like I don't know, I need Frank to do a little more.
Right, I agree.
I need Frank to do a little more on the coaching perspective,
yes.
with lineups and everything. But I think that's a terrifying prospect.
I think they are.
We can put AD at the 4.
Yeah, I know.
You can't do anything against
a
6'8", 250 or whatever LeBron is, who will just stand over your shoulder and wait for you to elevate and then knock that into the 3rd row.
This makes me feel like the ultimate armchair basketball fan right now, where it's like, okay, I'm sure there are things we're missing or something, but I feel like the stuff they've done with LeBron at the 5, I mean, they just kill people with that lineup. The way the Warriors for years were killing people with Draymond at the 5. I don't see how that, like, if you start really, I feel like a lot of, for a while, I know there's a lot of, Frank Vogel was getting too much heat because he didn't select the team, blah, blah. But I don't understand trotting out, DeAndre Jordan or maybe Dwight at the 5 when you've got that. That's a nuclear lineup. And I just think, like, moving more towards, like, small ball. I think other teams are going to be terrified, and I just don't hardly see how it doesn't work. To see, even though the sample size has been small, how much more confident they play since AD has been back, because then you've actually got a strong defensive presence, anchoring down the middle. I think it's that as much as anything. It's just got rim protection. I don't know. I just don't think anybody wants to play them. And it's true that in order to get Russ, yes, they so depleted the rest of the roster. But like Brooklyn is dealing with right now, when you have a lot of kind of random role players or whatever. But then I don't know, like Malik Monk is stepping up. He looks great. He's getting like being more of a 3-point sharpshooter that I think anybody conceived him to be. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just think there's still time. I just think it's weird. I know most analysts have that to just count out the Lakers. Yeah. I don't know how you count any LeBron team at this point. Really,
you can't take your team to the finals. What, 9 years in a row?
Yes.
And it didn't matter what the constitution of that team was.
That's right.
The only consistent thing was you.
Yes.
Nobody can say that. Nobody can say that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Bill Russell can probably say
right.
But that was a long, long time ago.
Right.
There's more teams. It's a lot of different ways to play. But, I mean, and that, to me, is an interesting concept when we talk about Golden State. But then if you run the Lakers with LeBron at the 5... I mean, Draymond can't do anything about that.
No.
Like, you need a wing defender a little bit. Like, you've got to deal with Clay and you got to deal with Steph. But if they come in and they got to face AD and LeBron on the way to the basket, they're not going to be hot 7 games in a row.
And like Trevor
Ariza,
get
blown out sometimes.
That's 100%. Trevor Ariza looked horrible for a while there. Where it was kind of like, why are they still putting him or Avery Bradley out there? But like Trevor Ariza is suddenly starting to look like more of his old self. I mean, if he's able to actually bring some of that defense on the perimeter and stuff, I feel like that still is a squad.
It could be interesting. If Milwaukee comes out of the East, they got one guy.
That's right. That's right.
And he's an excellent guy.
Yes.
An absolute freak of nature. But it's one guy.
And I think the same principle how Russ has now for years waited to the last 3 months to turn it on. I feel like it can't be overstated. Yes, LeBron has put up some gaudy numbers, especially with AD out and that kind of thing. Like he's been everybody's like, 37. It's like he's really great. But I still feel like I still find myself wanting to tell people, it's like he's not really playing in his highest gear. No one is as aware of their own body and reeling it back when they need to and stepping up when need to. And it was just year before last they won a championship. I just feel like, okay, here is the person who, if anybody in the league has a switch to flip, it's LeBron.
It's LeBron. And he's walking down and shooting threes.
Yes.
He's walking down
yes.
and shooting threes because he is reserving the tank.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And when it matters, he's going to be driving.
And
nobody, to this day, can stop that.
Nobody's ever done it before.
They haven't done it yet. Train. But there's no reason to do it for 86 games.
And he's hitting more of those threes than he should. And that's probably been those wild about LeBron and even more respect to his game. He is one of those guys who's developing new aspects, and
that's the freaky thing.
That step back three might look a little awkward, but like he hits them, and he'll hit that dagger at the end of the game, like whatever. But I'm totally with you. I feel like it's like like at the right time, he's going to start just going to the basket. And what do you? We'll
have a whole regular season of taking that shot.
Yeah.
So when you adjust to it. It's not, I haven't been shooting these all year.
Yeah.
I've been shooting these all year. Too much, honestly.
Yes.
So where now I've got it kind of figured out. It's because Russ isn't going to keep turning it over.
No, I don't think so. And I feel like that's where all the Russ hate. For one, he's not a jerk. There's a reason I feel like he's beloved in locker rooms. Teammates tend to like Russell Westbrook. But I feel like beyond that, it's like, I think he cares what LeBron thinks. LeBron has always been so good at, getting the best out of people around him and stuff like that. Again, I just feel like it's just so premature to judge that as a failed experiment when it's still happening in real time.
Well, you kind of wonder if they've had that conversation of like, look, the regular season is how we're kind of getting ourselves ready.
Yes.
We'll probably be able to win enough games to get into the playoffs.
That's right.
Seeding doesn't matter a ton.
Yes.
Go get yours.
Yes.
And there might be a feeling out process that they're dealing with, but when you're a competition, because the big competition was Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But if Kyrie can't only play half the games, I mean, what are you going to do?
And that was the other thing, and I know these are like kind of the big ticket NBA stories right now, but I'm so fascinated by it. So with the Nets, I don't know, man. I really thought, you spend enough money and time and you have these kind of celebrity basketball friendships or whatever. I really am kind of stunned at how much they seem to be imploding right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, I buy the smoke with the Harden stuff right now.
Harden quit.
James Harden is not an idiot. He knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He knows what he's communicating. And we've seen for years, Harden, when he starts... He's not being all that ambiguous in the stuff he's saying, even at pressers. No. He's clearly frustrated as hell with Kyrie. Mm-hmm. He's clearly not liking how he's being coached. And it just, at this point, the level at which he seems to be discontent, I'm like, whoa, I just never would have believed that team could be this much of a time bomb in the moment. Because last year, for the 30 seconds, it felt like it was, to see all three of them playing healthy in the playoffs, those first week against the Celtics was like, oh my gosh, well we've never seen anything like this. Mm-hmm. They're going to beat everybody by 60 points a game. They look so insane. We still have such a small sample size with the three of them together.
Yeah.
But with KD hurt right now, Kyrie part-time, and then Harden seemingly like this checked out.
Yeah, he is checked out.
And then nobody else relying on the roster.
He looks just like he did in Houston when he was trying to get to Brooklyn.
Oh, he does.
Like, he's done. Like, he will not be there next year.
That's not. I don't believe he will. That's not a team that should go on a 6-7 game losing streak, even if it's mostly Harden and a little bit of Kyrie or whatever.
No.
Like, no, he's not. his body language is.
I don't know how you get those three guys to agree to play on a team together, and then don't actually get them to play on the team. Like,
I don't.
They shouldn't lose.
No, they really shouldn't
at all.
Yeah,
and they can't even play together.
I know.
That's bonkers. Like that, they're giving the East away.
I thought somebody would break through to Kyrie at some point or whatever, but apparently it's not happening. Not now. The league's not really caving, or cities. However you put it.
That was the first time when Harden came out and said that he would sneak Kyrie the vaccine.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's the first time they're going down south.
He wasn't really laughing either. I mean, I feel like that didn't really feel like a joke. That was more like
if he had access to him.
Yeah.
And he caught Kyrie, looking at his phone too long. I legitimately think he would do it.
Yes.
Like, that was not a joke. That was dead serious.
Yeah.
And that's a problem for them. That's a real problem.
It's crazy because, again, even though, I mean, Chicago's emerged and Milwaukee winning last year or whatever, it still feels like the Nets should still be the favorite in the East, but they're just, which begs the big question, and this is what I'm really fascinated to see. Even a couple weeks ago, it would have seemed, I know there was chatter about it, but it would seem so unthinkable that you could actually see a Ben Simmons for Harden trade in some capacity. It doesn't seem ridiculous anymore.
No. For either team. That's not a bad move.
Because here's my deal. Look, I feel like everybody is like taking all their best shots on Ben Simmons, used all their best jokes, like etc. A lot you can say about Ben Simmons in terms of giving up the playoffs, and hey, of course it's a bad look. The way he handled everything. So much you can say about it. But at this point, we have also seen and we know how toxic Harden can be in a locker room, like in Houston, when he decides he doesn't want to play, and it's feeling more and more like he doesn't want to play.
Yeah.
I don't care how much, and whether or not, he's lost anything physically, there's the whole thing, he's in shape enough or whatever. I don't know that I really think Harden has lost that much. I feel like a lot of it seems more mental, seems more about being checked out, like whatever. He is a little older, you lose some explosiveness, like whatever. I just know that, like, for a guy like Harden, we've just seen it with him before. When he decides he doesn't want to be there,
yeah,
I mean,
And even if he tries to come back to it, I don't remember who was making this point, but how they were calling or not calling fouls for him early on, and have kind of laxed on that. When the playoffs hit, that comes back up.
That's right.
And he's not going to get those easy calls at the rim. And if he's going into that unmotivated, and stops getting those calls,
oh, totally,
they're not going to make it out of the first round.
That's exactly right.
Unless Kevin Durant has the GOAT, a GOAT conversation playoff run.
Yes.
They're not going to make it very far.
Yes, which in fairness he could because he's that ridiculous.
Yes, he is unbelievably good at basketball.
But that's where, again, like, you can't have, and that's what's so wild about the situation. When Kyrie is a part-time player, and hey, look, as skilled as he is, though, we're seeing the rust on him. I mean, he hasn't played basketball in how long? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are.
No.
So, and I feel like, even though the little bits leaking here and there, we can only imagine how much resentment there really is in that locker room and in the organization towards him, because it is, ultimately, it's all really ridiculous. And it's obviously not about empowering people and like all the stuff they try to say it's about. So, I don't know. I just like that many toxic dynamics for a team. I could totally get why they'd hit the panic button and try to make something happen. Because the thing is, Ben Simmons, for all the other issues or whatever, he's a hell of a defender for a team that desperately needs defense. Mm-hmm. He hasn't hit his ceiling. And, as many years he's still got under contract, I can understand at this point how, I know the big question right now really is, and will be the question for the 76ers, what's James going to do in the summer? Because if they're not confident that they'd be able to sign up him for a new contract. But I don't know, man. And that's what makes it all so fascinating. The 76ers look so good, and Embiid is just a monster right now. I could see where the pressure's mounting there. Like, we got to do something. We got to make something happen, even if it's not ideal.
It's wild that they have an all-star sitting at home.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that they're playing the way they're playing.
Yeah.
Because if Simmons and Embiid could reconcile,
right,
that would be something else,
right?
Because I don't think this is a weird take. I think he made the right play. Like the when he passed up the layup, I think that was the right call. Like where the defender was,
yeah,
I think it made sense to give that ball up.
Yeah.
Now, I also think he did that because of a confidence issue.
Sure.
But I do think that was the right play. Him getting called out for it jarred him.
Yeah.
I think because he knows, or he believes that was the right play.
Yeah.
But he also knows he did it for the wrong reason.
Totally.
And I don't think he can get out. I literally think he can't get out of his head about that. And I feel terrible for him.
Yeah.
Because he's an extremely talented guy.
He is. And those are the most ruthless fans in basketball. They're not going to let you forget. And
that is not the city
to
do the wrong thing.
It is not. What's so interesting about this, Will, is that because I agree with this so much. I mean, first of all, even though, and the replay's been shown 1,000 times, even though it is still like, wow, I can't believe we give up a dunk or whatever, it wasn't like for a buzzer beater player or something. I just think that the amount of scrutiny on that, I do think the ultimate response reaction, it was more about how unaggressive he'd been the whole series, and especially like in the fourth quarter, how timid, all the trepidation, whatever. It's cool, like response to that. But I will say, and this is where, look, Simmons, the way he's carried it, I understand why that would engender a lot of hate or like whatever. But I do think it can't be skipped over. And I mean, I thought that when I was seeing that at the time, I'm like, I get it. There's always for me room for people's like humanity and like, well, I understand why you'd say that in the moment or like whatever. But I thought both with Embiid's comments that night after the game and with Doc, I was like, oh, you kind of can't do that to your teammate. Mm-hmm. How do you ever have a future of playing with this person? Like when you leave another guy on your unit that exposed.
Yeah.
And yes, to the point that Shaq keeps making and Chuck keeps making and everybody else or whatever, maybe you look weak or whatever to kind of cave to that instead to fight it. But I also still get it at the end of the day of like, how many guys who are on Ben Simmons level talent-wise who have been an all-star? Because what he did those first few years in Philadelphia has been really special.
Yeah.
Have ever been thrown all the way under the bus by their all-star teammate and their coach the way they was. Because I felt like they threw him all the way under the bus.
They did.
But that was not ambiguous.
No.
They put the whole thing on his shoulders.
I think you can get past the Embiid thing.
Yes, I agree.
But it was Doc. When Doc was like,
yes.
I don't know if we can win with him as point guard.
That's right. Because all you have to do, because Doc does it all the time, all you have to do is like dodge that question a little. All you have to do is like, I just think like at a press conference, it's not a time ever to kind of go into your innermost feelings.
Yeah, don't delve deep into the true answer in that moment.
Right.
Can you win with him? Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Now, you go have the real conversation later.
Yes,
but in that moment, you have to know to say yes. Like, your son played for you.
That's exactly right. And also had some really bad moments. And how would you want... I've actually thought about that. Like, how would you want somebody to deal with your kid? Because, like, we've seen him screw up on the floor a number of times.
Yeah, that was rough.
It was a little far. It just felt like, because, again, I didn't feel like it was even that passive-aggressive. I'm like, okay, that just feels aggressive. When you say you don't know whether you can win, no coach says that about their player. You always are going to say something like that. Well, of course, we can win with our guy.
That's the screw up.
We just had a bad game, blah, blah,
That's
blah.
the screw up I think Ben made.
Yes.
Ben should have come out and been like, I don't want him to be our coach. I'm committed to the team. I'm here. Me and Embiid are great. He can't be our coach.
Yeah.
Now, you may lose that.
Yeah.
But he never made that argument. It was just kind of, I'm upset about this. Mm-hmm. Kind of in a nebulous way. I'm not saying what I'm directly upset about.
Right.
I'm just upset.
Right.
And like this week, when he contacts Shaq and basically asks Shaq to leave him alone.
I know.
I'm like, buddy, that's not a good look.
It feels so thin-skinned. It's
That's
like you're
you're
just
look.
not supposed to be DMing on that level. It feels like, I don't know, man. I don't want to sound like I know, but I just think there's a certain point in your life where it's kind of like you have to decide however humiliated you are. This is out of my hands.
Yeah.
I can't control this.
Yeah.
The fact that he doesn't show openly the energy to engage the 76ers in organization and practice or like whatever, but you're DMing Shaq's like, oh man, no. Because, see, I feel like at least the one thing that's been consistent with him is I feel like he stayed quiet.
Yes.
So you don't want to leak into the press
said anything.
that like I have to immediately reach out to Shaq because I'm so upset about what I watched on Inside the NBA. You want him to think you're not watching Inside the NBA.
Yeah.
You know?
And you definitely don't want Shaq to come out and say, we both went to LSU.
Right.
Because then it's... So that's what Ben said to you. Is,
Yeah,
well, you
that's
went to
right.
my college.
That's right.
I'm reaching out to you because we have that.
Yes.
I could have reached out to Chuck,
Yeah.
but I had nothing with him.
Yeah.
We have this LSU connection. You're like, that's what you're leaning on?
I know.
The one year you played there and were hurt and didn't really play?
Right.
Like, I don't know if that even counts.
No,
I don't
I don't
consider
either.
him as a kid that played at LSU.
No, that's true. That's true.
So I don't know. I feel bad for the guy.
I do too, because it's like I can imagine being in the situation and having made. I mean, cause not like I have it in my life. Oh, I've made 4 wrong steps, so now I don't know what to do on step 5. Mm-hmm. But you also like, oh man. But it feels like he's still making them. Like I thought the thing with Shaq is like, dude, just stay out of it now. Especially, and I do feel like at this point too. And I mean, it is what it is, but because as someone who takes very seriously the mental health consideration or whatever, I mean, if he were to play for the Nets this season, it'd be awesome. It feels like that would bite him in the ass too, because then the story becomes like, oh, it's a mental health issue that you can't play for the Philadelphia 76ers, but you're fine to play in Brooklyn. It just all feels very clunky.
Yeah, I'd almost want him to come out and be like, look, this is not a mental health issue. I mean, maybe it is.
Sure.
But if he was just like, I'm just mad at them, and I don't want to play.
Right, yeah.
For them.
Yeah, F these guys.
Yeah.
You don't talk to me like that.
Come all the way out and say something crazy.
That's right, yeah.
And then I think it goes over better than just sitting around and saying nothing.
That's right.
Especially if Shaq's going to speak up and say, I'm going to stop speaking about him.
Yeah.
Because he asked me to.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it just feels like, oh, you told the principal.
I know.
Like it just doesn't feel good, and I hate that for him.
I do too,
because I like Ben Simmons quite a bit.
I by no means as bad as all that's gone. It's not like I don't feel like he has a meaningful future. I mean, I think again the stuff that he accomplished within the first few years. And some of it, too, comes down to, I don't know, just the extent to which people value offense rather than defense. Like, okay, you're talking about easily one of the top 2 or 3 defensive players in the game.
Yeah.
If he scored 2 points a game, you might want one of the 3 most elite defenders of the game on your team.
Absolutely.
To act like it's just, the principle certainly applies in the inverse with people will take an offensive player who can only score but can't guard anybody. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just think it's so like...
There's an expectation thing there, because... when he was coming out, it was like, oh, this is another LeBron.
Right.
And maybe he's just an extremely good Pat Bev.
Yeah, right.
There is nothing wrong with
No.
being a really good Patrick
You help a team win a title. Being an extremely good Pat Bev.
Being taller, longer, better defender, and can attack.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But if you're being compared to arguably the greatest basketball player that's ever walked the earth, or at least the second,
right?
That's tough.
Then you're a wash, right? Yeah.
And it's like he's cursed by his own intangibles.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's a lot going on. I hope he can recover from it.
Yeah,
somewhere somehow.
I do too.
Not against the Lakers.
Yeah, no, I know. It'll be interesting to see. Because I tell you, I can't believe I'm saying this. And it's like, I don't know what day this is going to go up because the deadline's February 10th. We're recording the night of February 6th. In this moment, I would say knowing the 76ers might have to give up too much and that kind of stuff, it almost, my gut could be wrong here, almost feels more than likely that they find a way to move them, that even the Harden thing, I don't know. I just feel like when there's that much smoke, man, I just think too many things have been leaking out of Brooklyn. That's the Harden camp. Yeah. They want people to know that he's dissatisfied. Yes. They want people to know that he wants a shift. And I think and the fact that he's not just making it about, it is at Kyrie, but it's also at the organization. It's also indirectly at Steve Nash about his rotations and that kind of thing. I feel like for a player of James Harden's caliber, that's pretty strong. Yeah. And so I just think if you got that happening in the locker room, I don't know. It's just, I just can't believe we're at a place where it might not be absurd. Because for so long, it seemed like Daryl Morey just seemed like, who does that guy think he is? That he's insisting that one of the top 30 players in the game are going to be traded for Ben Simmons. Well,
Harden should buy Ben Simmons' house.
Yeah, right, indeed.
In Philly. He'd be like, yes. Look, we're telling you what to do.
Yes.
We're telling you what to do.
Yes.
Swap us out.
We need to wrap it for sure. But it's like, the Harden stuff, though, I just, again, we've seen how intentional and deliberate I feel like he really is. You know, it's like, even the reports about him not liking living in Brooklyn, he's not shooting anything down. You know, all that stuff, they're asking him the questions. It's so easy to, like, in just a line or two, to just shut it down. He's not doing it. I feel like it's more like, you know, like, people get dissatisfied for things all the time. Oh, yeah, it's like, well, I mean, he's not really trying to put that fire out. And I think there's reason for that. So
it's a new day, man. The players get it. They're starting to get it.
Yeah, that's right.
And they can make things happen if they voice concerns in a certain way. It happens a little slow for the fan.
Yes.
But it's a power flex.
Yeah.
So the landscape is changing. It'll be interesting to see how it works the next few years.
Yeah.
Next few superstars.
That's right.
Like Zion.
Yeah. Woo.
He's kind of pulling a Harden of like, I'm going to stay kind of out of shape so I don't have to play for you.
Right.
Because I kind of want to be somewhere else. Yeah. But then is the next
Which
team
is so weird.
Invest in that.
Yeah.
If someone tells you, if I don't want to be here,
that's right,
I'm going to make it known and stop trying.
That's right.
Then why would I invest in you? Like it's the power struggle is interesting.
It's why, without going to trying to go the whole thing about that, but it's why it doesn't seem crazy anymore. I don't know what they'd get with the injury status, but at this point, I feel like Zion has so clearly telegraphed that he does not want a future with the Pelicans. To be like, well, why wouldn't you consider trading this guy to the Knicks and get 3 or 4 significant assets?
Get something
where you can actually compete instead of, you know.
Don't wait for him not to sign the extension.
That's right.
Leave. Get in shape on the offseason.
Right.
And now you're like,
which he's going to do for somebody else.
Yes.
I think, I do think that.
Yes. Because if you give people tens of millions.
That's right. Yeah.
I can get a trainer in.
Right.
And I can get myself in shape in a couple of weeks, a couple of months. We're good to go.
Yeah.
And I can let myself go a little bit.
Right.
Because you can't tell me that James Harden doesn't know exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
To where, like, I'm going to look this much out of shape.
Right.
Because when he was in Houston, he looked like he was way out of shape.
I know, yeah.
He showed up in Brooklyn and was ready to go in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
They do. Because people and I've never said this before, but I feel like things are clicking in my head. People like James Harden, the era they've come up in the NBA, you learn how to be an expert of social media, movement, perception, like whatever. Like that savvy is kind of built into your generation.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he's grown up with that. And it's like the idea of acting like that people then like or somehow naively just don't know what they're doing and they're just saying things like, come on, man. You're talking about surely a billionaire. And this is a guy, like, by all accounts, when he was in Houston, like, it was like he owned the Rockets. Like, this is not a person who's not aware of the weight of his words or actions or something, who's kind of like, I mean, this guy's playing chess.
Yeah.
I stopped believing that Donald Trump was playing 3D chess or whatever. I think James Harden actually is playing chess. And it's more like, you're an idiot if you think that somebody like Harden is not smart enough to know media narratives and like whatever. Like, I just feel like, even leaking things like not liking living in Brooklyn. I'm like, if you didn't think that if that wasn't true, then you would know then you would shoot it down. I just think like, oh no, there's something to all that.
Because why would it matter?
Right, that's right.
With him, with the access that they have, like if you don't want to be where you're at, go somewhere else.
Yeah, yes,
they're all
exactly.
somewhere else anyway.
Right.
They're all in LA most of the time.
Yeah, that's right.
And they go back to wherever they're playing.
Right, go to the parties and that's right.
Wherever.
Yeah.
So to let out, I don't like it in Brooklyn.
Right.
Is a not subtle.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Because I don't have to let you know I don't like that.
That's
I don't
exactly
even have to be in Brooklyn.
Yes.
I was going to show up for the
That's
game.
so true. If you're a superstar in Oklahoma City, how much time are you spending in Oklahoma City regardless? Because you're going to go.
I used to see Steven Adams out all the time.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
Right.
Like, they're doing something.
That's
they're
right.
Going somewhere. They are not staying at home, but they're not going out here.
That's right. Yeah.
It just is what it is.
You're wherever, whatever party Jay-Z and George Clooney is at,
Yes.
you're going to go to it because it's like, and I get that, like you
Yes.
become an A-list star in your own right, and you're like, I'm going to do my thing. Okay. So, but
that's what I miss about Adams because he was so authentic. Like he was wherever.
Yeah, that's
You'd
true.
bump into him anywhere.
Right.
Because he was just, out.
Yeah, that's right.
Enjoying his time here. And it was, Harden was gone.
Yeah.
KD was gone.
Yeah.
Let's see those
that's
guys
true.
anywhere.
That's true.
Well, Russ was around. Mm-hmm. But he'd get the whole place. Like, you couldn't also be where Russ was.
Yeah.
Like, there's ways to do it.
Sure.
But they're gonna make comfortable whatever is comfortable.
Absolutely.
And buying some land here, not a bad investment.
Yeah, that's true.
In the grand scheme of things, like land's not expensive out here. By comparison.
Yeah.
So you can get yourself a nice little spot to be by yourself.
Right.
Bring the party to you.
Right.
And then when you need to go to the party, you catch a plane.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
that's right.
You can be wherever you want to be.
Yes.
With that kind of cash.
That's exactly right.
So to let out, I'm unhappy here.
Yeah.
It's a business move.
Yeah, no, it's telegraphed by
a
a
real statement.
And when it's not, because I feel like those guys really, like legitimately, all of them will still express some degree of incredulity. LeBron will. It's like, LeBron will cut something to quick that's not true. But like when he wants the fire to grow about something, and like,
feel free to think that.
He knows how to not put it out.
Yeah.
And I just think it's dumb to not think that like a guy like Harden is not.
No, they've all
doing
learned.
that too.
They have all learned.
It's
pretty to see. I like it.
Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you. I needed to have this NBA conversation in my life. I don't know if anybody else did. Hopefully you did. If you're enjoying the Zeitcast right now, thank you, especially for those of you who are supporting us on Patreon. It means so much. So you can support us on Patreon. If you like, if you comment, if you subscribe on YouTube, for that matter, in the audio platforms, we appreciate it so much. We have to do this much more often because this is like too much fun.
I would love to come back. This is great.
So yes, what a great night. Thank y'all so much. New episode of Zeitcast will be coming very soon. Thanks again.